Paying respects to Venerable Ācariya Wan Uttamo. On one occasion, I went to pay my respects to Venerable Ācariya Wan Uttamo of Wat Tham Aphai Damrong Tham, Songdao District, Sakonnakhon Province. Venerable Ācariya Wan had a prudent and well-mannered nature. He was reserved in speech. If it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't say it. You could say he was someone who didn't know how to joke around. Whenever he spoke, there was substance and reason. He didn't speak playfully or in jest. He was a student of Luang Por Thoon. Back then, the community of monks, Sangha, appointed Venerable Ācariya Wan to be Luang Por Thoon's regular monk attendant, to minister to him and look after his requisites, parikara, from looking after the monk hut, kuti, and cleaning it regularly, to taking Luang Por Thoon's alms bowl and washing it, and regularly tending to the alms bowl and other requisites. After Luang Por Thoon passed away, Venerable Ācariya Wan established a temple where he permanently resided at Wat Tham Aphai Damrong Tham. I went there to seek quietude with him. One night, as my mind, citta, settled into a state of meditation, samadhi, I experienced a meditative vision, nimitta, of Venerable Ācariya Wan walking toward me and asking me, "Venerable Thoon, since you achieved enlightenment, have you been to see the levels of the Brahma world, Brahma Loka, yet?" I replied, "Not yet, sir." He said, "Go and take a look." Back then, after Luang Por Thoon's attainment of enlightenment, he went to see the levels of the Brahma world. I asked Venerable Ācariya Wan, "What about you, Venerable Ācariya? Have you been to see the levels of the Brahma world yet?" He replied, "I have already been there. I want you to see how they live in the Brahma world." Since Venerable Ācariya Wan said that, I would go and see for myself. I altered my mind, citta, in order to enter a meditative absorption, jhana, and my body floated upward very fast. I stopped and glanced back down at the human world. The human world looked like a circle or like a large lake. Then my body floated upward again, and I stopped to glance back down at the human world again. The world looked like it was the size of a large lotus leaf. My body floated upward again, and I stopped to glance back down at the human world again. This time, I could no longer see the human world. I floated upward until I reached the immaterial realm, arupa brahma. Once I reached the immaterial realm, my eyes swept over everything, and all I could see was light that sparkled. After I was done seeing it, I was going to head back down to the level of the fine material realm, rupa brahma, to see how it was. I proceeded to float downward until I reached the fine material realm. In that level of the fine material realm, I saw people being very still. They weren't moving at all. Some were standing very still, some were sitting very still, and some were lying down very still. There were a great number of people stuck in this level of the Brahma realm. If someone is able to reach the level of fine material absorptions, rupa jhana, in meditation, after they die in that state of fine material absorptions, their mind, citta, will be reborn in an existence, bhava, called a fine material existence, rupa bhava, where the lifespan is eternally long. Thereafter, I decided that I wanted to go see the Davadimsa level of heaven, saga, because in the Buddha's era, many arahants got to visit that level of heaven. It was a level of heaven in which Indra was king. I wanted to see it too. My body floated on downward and past other levels of heaven until I reached the Davadimsa level. It looked just like another town. It was large and expansive and stretched as far as the eyes could see. There were various palaces of disparate sizes. Each palace radiated different lights and colors. The intensity of each palace's light gleamed and reflected off of one another. I saw one palace that was tall and large and emitted a very beautiful bright light. I floated down to get a closer look. I was around 40 meters away from the palace. Then I saw a heavenly being, Devada, walk out of the palace, spot me, and slip back into the palace. I heard yelling, "Lord Mother, a venerable monk has come to visit us. He is sitting in the air outside of our palace." "Where is he? Where is he?" Then they emerged and peered at me. The leader said, "We respectfully invite you to come into our palace, Venerable Sir." I knew that there were only women inside that palace, and as a monk, I should not enter. I told them, "It is improper for me to go into the palace because I am by myself." The heavenly being said, "In that case, we invite you to come closer to the palace, Venerable Sir." I floated downward, around 10 meters from the palace. I was at an elevation where they wouldn't have to turn their faces up too high. Then, the heavenly beings, who numbered no fewer than 10,000, emerged onto the palace balcony. They sat in the heavenly being's salutation, Deva Panama, position, in a nice and orderly manner. Then they bowed 3 times, and the leader of the heavenly beings led the group in saying, "Satu, Satu, Satu," in unison. The voices echoed considerably. They asked me, "Venerable Sir, where have you come from?" I told them, "I went to visit the Brahma world. Seeing as there was a good opportunity, I stopped by to visit here." They all said, "Satu, Satu." The leader said, "We are very fortunate that your venerableness has come here to grace us. It has been a long time since we have bowed in respect to a venerable one. Back when the Buddha was still alive, Venerable Mahamoggallana and Venerable Sariputta visited us often. Since then, a long time has passed until we saw you, Venerable Sir. This is considered our incredible fortune. We invite your venerableness to come up here to grace us again. We all request to hear the Dhamma as well." At that moment, I thought of Ācariya Wan. He had told me to go see the Brahma world. Now that I had seen it, I would hurry back down to report to him. He was probably waiting for me at that moment. So I told the group of heavenly beings, "I will not be staying for long because I have a matter in the human world that I must return to." I asked the heavenly beings, "Since when have you been living in this palace?" They responded, "We have been living in this palace since the Buddhist dispensation of the Kassapa Buddha, sir." "What merit, punya, did you all make that led to having such a large and beautiful palace?" They said, "We made merit in many ways. We built prayer halls, uposatha, monasteries, vihara, and great noble relics pagodas, mahatatu cetiya. We gave charitably, dana, upheld the precepts, sila, developed mentally, pavana, and cultivated many other merits." I asked further, "Why aren't there any men living with you?" The leader replied, "Back then, I was the leader in cultivating these merits. There were no men involved in any way, sir." I simply told them, "Recollect the merits and moral goodness, kusala, that you all have cultivated. Do not be reckless with life, because change is bound to occur. When it comes time, even the heaven that you live in must change. The merits and moral goodness of heaven can be exhausted. You will be reborn in the human world, cultivate merit and moral goodness, and return here again. May you all live in mental happiness forever." After the exhortation ended, they said, "Satu, Satu, Satu," in unison, and bowed 3 times. I bid farewell to the heavenly beings and floated downward to the human realm in order to tell Venerable Ācariya Wan all about it. Once I floated down to the monk hut, kuti, my mind, citta, disengaged from the meditative state, and I was able to review everything that happened in an orderly fashion. The following day, I went to pay my respects to Venerable Ācariya Wan. It was just the 2 of us, so I told him all about my meditative vision, nimitta. Then, Venerable Ācariya Wan asked a question about practice, pati. So I told him all about it, just like I had told Luang Por Thoon. Venerable Ācariya Wan said, "The mind, citta, that can reach this point is a mind that is very refined. Everyone who reaches this ultimate point will be like this. However, very few are able to do so. It cannot even be quantified as a percentage because there are so many things that are obstacles, making it difficult for a practitioner to make it through." I did not dare to ask him when and where he had attained enlightenment, because it is improper for a junior monk to ask a senior monk. Venerable Ācariya Wan was greatly respected and trusted. He stood out when it came to giving Dhamma sermons. If he were still alive, the propagation of Buddhism in this era would advance significantly.